Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of Over the Top Talk. I'm your host, Owen, and as always, I'm joined with my co-host today, Anthony. How are we doing today?
Bro, we are doing splendid. Splendid.
And by the time this video is out, we're recording this a couple of days out from our Crown Jewel event on ESPN at
hmm
I think it's 8 a.m. if I'm not wrong with that.
Yep. 8 a.m.
We have a early event on Saturday, but before we get into our Crown Jewel predictions and everything like that, just make sure to subscribe to me and Anthony at Over the Top Talk. We um, share videos, clips. We've started posting on YouTube Shorts, so make sure to check out our shorts on YouTube. And across the screen here, you'll see our other socials like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We're most active right now on Instagram, I would say, where
Yep.
you'll see our posts. We pretty much post stories every single day. So make sure to follow us on all those platforms to stay caught up on what we're doing. And with that, kind of before we talk about this, I guess you can call them pay-per-views again now. Um, Crown Jewel, obviously the ratings right now aren't very high. I've seen
hmm
stats from both Raw and SmackDown the past, I think, month, and I think every single week the ratings continue to fall. Some
hmm
some of it being, Raw is competing with obviously football, so that's why some of the ratings are down, and SmackDown as well. The ratings don't haven't looked that good the past couple, weeks, and I feel like one of the issues for this pay per view, we're about to talk about is that last pay per view we just had, WrestlePalooza, was a complete. It really wasn't that good. Complete disaster, I would say, on WWE's part.
hmm
And walking into Crown Jewel, I feel like a lot of these matches we're going to be talking about just really aren't, hitting. Whether it's they've failed to kind of make these storylines click a little bit. I know we're at the Crown Jewel period where they do the champions versus champions matches,
hmm
um, but it almost feels like some of these matches that we're about to talk about maybe aren't as hyped up as they should be or haven't been marketed well. How do you feel about the marketing with some of these matches that we will talk about in a few moments?
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like a lot of the matches are like really lazily put together. Like, you know, we don't have any time put into the builds of the matches, really. Like for example, I'll use one right now, like the John Cena and AJ Styles match. I feel like it hasn't got any build at all. And I just feel like it's been kind of rushed and not a lot of care is put into it right now, which is kind of disappointing to see, given the fact that ESPN gave WrestlePalooza only a C rating as the first show, which is kind of like a bad look for it. Because, like, they're trying to market it as like a whole new era of wrestling. And for them to kind of like put in little to no effort is kind of disappointing to see, realistically. Yeah.
Yeah, and to start off our predictions, kind of wanted to start with the women's tag team match that we'll be seeing on the event. Don't know where they're gonna place this. Honestly, I think this would be a pretty good opener, but I don't know
hmm
if they're gonna do that. They love to. Um, Recently, I feel like they've been putting some of the higher stars on the opening, matches. But for this match in particular, you got Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Asuka and Kairi Sane,
hmm
which the build up for this, I feel like you said, might have been rushed. I feel like they just had
hmm
Asuka turn heel. Maybe I think it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So they've kind
Yeah.
of had that short time frame to make this match happen. I think we ultimately knew we were going to see some sort of clash between Io Sky and Asuka, but we didn't, really expect them to set up a tag team match, or maybe I, didn't expect them to end up having this match. But
hmm
um, if I'm talking about all the women in this match specifically, I think this match is going to be really good. I think this will be one of our, top matches on this card. You have a
hmm
lot of talented women in this match. Just to highlight, Io Sky, Asuka, Kyrie, they always put on a show. just adding Rhea to that, mix makes it even better.
Mhm.
Um, the result of this, I'm not really going to overthink it. I think it's going to be Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Because
Mhm.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're trying to do with Asuka and Kyrie. I feel like they're also maybe trying to split those two up and maybe having Asuka go on a solo run. And I think having Asuka and Kyrie Sane lose this kind of helps Asuka and Kyrie Sane, go their own ways. Maybe Io, I don't know, maybe Kyrie ends up back with Io. I don't really know what they're gonna do with the story past this match, but
Mhm.
not gonna overthink it and go with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky for this one.
Mm. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually gonna take Asuka and Kairi Sane here, personally. Um, so I know Rhea obviously is gonna be like the fan favorite. They're in Australia. She's from Australia. So the crowd is gonna be really pro Rhea in EO here. But I'm kind of looking at it as a storyline perspective here. And because like this feud just started, it just began. I could honestly see this kind of going into war games here, Asuka and Kyrie. Um, so I think they're actually going to win, and they're going to keep the momentum building up a little bit more with this team. Obviously, it's going to make the crowd sad, and I think that just gives more heat to Asuka and Kyrie. So, and they'll continue to like develop the relationship between Rhea and Io, and then you can see Kyrie slowly but surely build up to eventually turning on Asuka whenever that may be. Like it could be something as far as the Rumble. Maybe you have like Kyrie eliminate Asuka from the Rumble, and this could lead into like the further PLEs down the future, like going into Mania season. So I really don't know where they're gonna go with it, but I'm definitely taking Asuka and Kyrie winning.
All right, and moving to our next match that we kind of want to talk about here, it's Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed for the second time. This is their second time meeting, second match they're having between the two, just
Hmm.
made on the most recent Raw.
Yeah.
Also feels rushed, like I talked about that. The last match we talked about wasn't really rushed. This
Yeah.
one in particular, they've made kind of out of the blue. Don't really understand why they're having a rematch. I think Braun Breaker should, I feel like they're trying to protect Reigns and Breaker, so they don't want either of the two losing. I think that's why they put Bronson Reed into this slot to once
Hmm.
again face Roman Reigns. My issue with these two men right now is I feel like Triple H is starting to get really, the storytelling's been very poor. You
Hmm.
had Roman Reigns kind of shock everybody 2 weeks ago when he came back, and I feel like from there, um, I don't know what they're trying to do with the Bloodline and Vision. But they're just trying to make their way to Survivor Series, War Games. But I feel like this feud's getting very stale,
Yeah.
especially with this match. It's a rematch that we just saw
Hmm.
2 events ago, and it wasn't at WrestlePalooza. It was the event before that. Clash. We saw this event
Hmm.
or match. If I'm talking about who's going to win this match, I honestly, it could be a 50-50. I could
Yeah.
see Brunson winning. I could see Roman winning. Either way, it um, I feel like it doesn't help these storylines at all. It doesn't help the Vision storyline. It doesn't help the Bloodline. Like we'll talk about, obviously later with that Seth Rollins match. That match has a lot of implications with it. I feel
Yeah.
like when you talk about Roman Reigns versus Brunson Reed, um, I don't know. I might go with Brunson Reed for this one. Obviously, Roman taking the last match they had, and then Roman Reigns being put on the shelf for about a month and a half. Wasn't that long this time.
Hmm.
Um, I would say maybe have Brunson Reed win this time around.
Yeah.
But I don't with Roman there. I don't know a win over Brunson Reed doesn't really help Roman. A
Hmm.
win for Brunson Reed over Roman helps Brunson Reed a lot. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Brunson Reed here. We'll probably see some interference from maybe Braun Breaker. But other than that, I think I'm gonna go with Brunson Reed for this matchup.
Yeah. I have to agree with you here. Um, I think personally, I'm about to go on a rant right now about this match. Um, I think it's like really lazily put together. It was almost like the exact same way that their first match happened. Like Bronson Reed comes down and him and Roman just start fighting, and it's supposed to make us be happy because they have having a street fight in Australia. Which I mean, I understand. Like it's gonna be a good match, I think. Whenever we have two great wrestlers go at it in a match with zero rules, it's always going to be enjoyable. But from a storyline point of view, like where does this go after? Um, like you said, Roman Reigns was, kayfabe in the injury. He was on the shelf for a while, and now he's back. But I think you have to give this match to Bronson Reed. Obviously, like last year at Survivor Series, he actually was on the shelf for real when he broke his feet, when he fell off when he did the dive off the top of the War Games cell. So I think if you want to make this team be legit, the Vision, and not make them kind of like a joke, like Bronson Reed needs to have a win over Roman, in my opinion. Because if they really want to build into War Games here and have the Vision be like a legitimate threat towards these main eventers, um, I think you got to give Reed the win going into War Games. I don't know what they're gonna do for the remainder of October, early November. I hope that we don't run this back again. Cause like let's be real, like the first match was great, but like if they keep on running it back over and over again, we're gonna be tired and not want to see it in War Games. So I don't know where they go, but give me Bronson Reed. Um, and which I feel like I'm hating too much here. I think the match is gonna be fine. I'm not saying the match is gonna suck. Like I think the match is gonna be fine, but I just think the concept and like this feud is getting a little bit stale.
Yeah, and obviously, we talk about storytelling being poor a lot as of recently. We know there's some changes going on in the creative department, as was tweeted
Yeah.
out, I think yesterday. They're making some changes there, but you talk about a legend like Roman Reigns, and there's two more legends on this card for the final time. These two will be
Mhm.
going at it with each other. Unfortunately, we have to say that. And the
Mhm.
reality is, John Cena versus AJ Styles, this will be the last time we see these two inside of the ring. Obviously, this match wasn't their original plan, wasn't Triple H's original plan. I honestly don't know what they were thinking, before.
Mhm.
But John Cena obviously went into business for himself, sent out a bunch of tweets, and here we are, John Cena versus AJ Styles.
Oh
What
yeah.
everyone wanted, what the fans wanted, what, both of these men wanted.
Mhm.
And my, only issue with this match is it's been weirdly, obviously it's not WWE's fault that John Cena kind of took the month off or took a couple weeks off.
Mhm.
And we've kind of had these weird, Raw segments the last couple weeks with AJ Styles where, he's kind of just been, picking up the mic before his matches or after his matches and kind of just calling out John Cena, saying this match doesn't need a story. The story writes itself, which, I can understand if there's these two are legends. They have history with each
Yeah.
other, but, I feel like you still need some sort of, feud build up. Obviously, we didn't get that. It's obviously not WWE's fault for that. But
Mhm.
I think this match is going to be really good regardless of how they built it up. Obviously, John Cena, I think at this point only has, very few appearances left. I think it's five. Um, After this one, it'll be four. We're ticking, time's really ticking now. We're just a little over 2 months away from John Cena's retirement match. But
Mhm.
we still got these 2 months. We got to enjoy it. This match is going to be amazing, I think. I honestly think you probably hand the win to Cena here. Cena's coming off of a loss back at WrestlePalooza to Brock Lesnar. I think in this match, you kind of just have to have John Cena come out, fiery, maybe pay more homage like he's been doing to his opponents in the past. I kind of like how he's been doing that. We'll
Mhm.
probably see some, homage from AJ Styles as well. Maybe AJ will hit an AA. Maybe Cena will hit a Styles clash, something like that. But overall, I think you give Cena the win here easily, and then see where this retirement tour goes from here. Especially for AJ Styles too, he'll pretty much be in his own little retirement tour soon. But
Yeah,
overall, I think you give the win to Cena here, and that's that.
yeah, I gotta agree here. I think no world AJ Styles wins here. I think you gotta give Cena the win, especially given the fact that he only has like 5 appearances left after this, or maybe this. I think this is one of his appearances, so 4 after. Um, And I got to agree with you on the one part. Obviously, Cena went into business for himself and tweeted it out. So there was no plans for a build for this match at all, nothing. So that's why I feel like AJ Styles has still been, in that feud with El Grande Americano and the Los Americanos, and he's like teaming with Dragon Lee and looking for thirds to help him. So I guess that's our build over the mic, which I guess is okay. It's pretty cool to like I guess hear him go on the mic before the matches and like you know talk about how he respects Cena and talks about how he's looking forward to the match and it's gonna be great. And like I do agree that there doesn't really need to be a build that much. Obviously, they've had that trilogy back in 2016, which is incredible. So I got no doubts that this match is going to be amazing. It should be good. I think we're going to have both men showing amazing respect to each other. So yeah, I'm actually just looking forward to it, seeing what they deliver. And if after the match we're going to see anything else, hinting at what's next for Cena, I hope we don't get Brock coming out. I don't want Brock interrupting this match anyway. I don't want him, causing a DQ finish or anything like that. I just hope both men get like, hopefully whoever wins gets a clean victory. Hopefully they have a clean match all the way through, which I'm guessing they will. I don't think Triple H is that dumb to make some DQ finish because the fans would be like outraged. So yeah, give me Cena in a very probably a pretty fair equal match that can go either way.
Yeah, we're talking about, two champions now. And, we have two, champion versus champion matches to talk about next. With our first one being Tiffany Stratton and the other one being Stephanie Valkyr. I think this match has a lot of potential to be another match of the night.
Hmm.
Both women are amazing in ring. Obviously, like we've been talking about the storylines for these matches. I know when they do these champion or they do crown jewels specifically now, they kind of have to rush these champion versus champion storylines.
Yeah.
This one's kind of weird because it's two. They're doing face versus face type of match, which you don't really see that often. You
Hmm.
kind of have they're both on different shows as well. Kind of makes it tough to build matches, but we're in the crown jewel times. We got to accept it. Um, but like I said, I think this match has potential to be a top match of the night.
Hmm.
With both of these women obviously competing for that crown jewel ring that they get
Hmm.
awarded to them. Um, but if I were to pick a winner, this is another. I feel like you just throw it up 50-50. I'm gonna take Stephanie Valkyr for this one. Obviously, the work she's been putting in, just becoming the newest champ, and obviously Tiffany Stratton having the title for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's gonna be interference. I would assume, possibly. I don't know who that would be that would interfere in this match, but if
Hmm.
there's any sort of interference, I wouldn't really like that because these two women I think, can put on a great match by themselves. Don't think they need the interference. Hope we don't see it, but I think Stephanie Valkyr is going to walk out with that ring and the championship. I honestly wish it was for both of the titles, but that's not how they run it. They do it for rings. But
Yeah.
I'll take Stephanie. And who are you going to take?
Yeah. I gotta agree with you here. I'm taking Stephanie Valkyr. Um, like you said, obviously you can write a case why both of these women should win They're both amazing. They're both put in work. They're both amazing champions. But, you know, Tiffany Stratton has been a champion now for pushing a year at this point. So, Stephanie Vaquer, she's the newer, well, she's like not the newer wrestler, obviously. She's been wrestling for years, but she's newer to the main roster. And I think, you want to push her. And I think by her beating Tiffany Stratton and winning this is going to be amazing for her stock in the company. And I think this is going to lead us into more of the war game scenario. I think she's definitely going to be in that match, the team of baby faces. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. I think both of these women, like you said, can put on an absolute banger of a match. Could be match of the night. So really looking forward to this one. And yeah.
And, moving on to the final match, we'll be making predictions for and talking about our
Hmm.
two men that have, history with each other way back to 2022 when Cody Rhodes returned and faced Seth Rollins. Then they had the Hell in a Cell match where Cody Rhodes had like the torn pec. Still as a top match. And obviously, Cody Rhodes is walking into this title versus title match or champion versus champion match. 2-0, two up on Seth Rollins.
3-0.
This three Izzy three.
Yep, 3-0.
Um, Obviously, a lot of implications we saw on the latest Raw that Paul or Seth Rollins asked Paul Heyman what's going to happen if Seth Rollins loses. Then you have Paul Heyman kind of say he'll start questioning why he chose Rollins over Roman Reigns.
Hmm.
And that's like the small implication they have going into this match.
Yeah.
Obviously, these two have a lot of history. They've had a couple, I guess you can call it promos against each other on the Raws we've seen. Then you kind of have Cody Rhodes going on SmackDown, having random tag team matches with Randy Orton and Division. Um, but once again, this match will probably end the night. I would assume.
Yeah.
Probably it's probably going to be an all-right match. Pretty, we've seen these men three times before, like you said. They've put on a show for us in all those matches. My only issue with this is we're probably going to see a lot of interference, and
Hmm.
whether I think we'll see some of the Vision, maybe we'll see the Usos potentially, maybe Jimmy, um, you know, maybe Punk. There'll probably be some sort of interferences, probably more than one, which I really don't like interferences, especially in matches like these. But we're most definitely going to see some sort of interferences in this matchup. If I'm going to pick a winner here, you have Cody winning last year's. You have Cody kind of on a tear of, winning things. So I think I'm going to take Seth Rollins here. I think with him losing, it would make the storyline maybe a little better than it is. I just don't see Seth Rollins losing to Cody Rhodes for a fourth time. I really don't see that,
Yeah.
especially with a lot of interferences we're probably going to see in this matchup. Um, and then pretty much from this match, you just kind of wait till war games. Like I've said, I feel like they're just trying to survive, with these storylines up until war games. Then things will probably start changing from war games.
Hmm.
But I think I'm ultimately going to take Seth Rollins. Probably not overthink it. I think this is going to be a great match overall. I think we're going to have to prepare for a lot of interferences.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is going to be the best match of the night personally. They've had little time to build, but what they've done has been incredible in my opinion. They're kind of leaning on those three matches they had in the past plus, Seth trying to be the leader of the Vision. And I feel like Paul Heyman is starting to get in his head a little bit and Cody is like fully in his head. He's got like Seth doubting himself and not thinking that he might be the leader that he really is, to lead this group into the future. So I think that's a really, really, honestly, really good kind of story going in here. Because like if Seth loses, he loses everything. He's gonna lose Paul Heyman probably. And you never know. Like Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed might end up leaving or turning on him or something. So this kind of feels like a must win for Seth. and Cody being arguably the face of the company. He's the biggest baby face they got. So, he's gonna dethrone the big bad and him, but if like that's like his idea going in here. But I gotta agree with you. I think Seth is probably going to win this match because I think it makes more sense going into the war games because I feel like that's what it's all for. It's kind of going into this war games match. It's gonna be the Vision and whoever else versus Cody and the team of baby faces. So um, I definitely do think this match is going to be fireworks, though. I think it's going to be incredible, amazing. All three of their matches were all phenomenal, in my opinion. So I don't expect any less. Both of them can put on amazing matches. So give me Seth Rollins in probably a very hard hitting match.
Yeah, and obviously for everyone watching, if you, leave down in the comments if you agree with some of our predictions, disagree, and make sure to subscribe to Over the Top Talk. I think we're at 145 subscribers, which from the last prediction, I think we've gained a decent amount. We appreciate you guys all, so make sure to sub. And like I said, we're most active right now, probably over on our Instagram, which is on the screen at Over the Top Talk. You can also follow us on X, Twitter at Over the Top Talk, and our TikTok SoDoggin16. And for everyone watching, make sure to prepare to set your alarms because we have a very very early event. Well, not very early, but 8 a.m. for
Yeah.
most people on a Saturday is early. So make sure to set those alarms and make sure to continue to follow us. We'll be making content throughout the day, and
Yes, sir.
we'll see you guys all in the next one. Thank you, everyone, for watching.